Literal versus non-literal translation. Literal translation is a word-for-word translation that can be used when there is a one-to-one equivalent in both languages. For example, when we translate from Spanish into English, el equipo está trabajando para terminar el informe, the team is working to finish the report, we can see that there is a total correspondence of each item in both languages. But this does not happen like that all the time. So what do? Well, we have to apply some other techniques, like the techniques of oblique translation, which are transposition, modulation, reformulation or equivalence, adaptation, and compensation. Let's see what they are. Transposition is when the parts of a speech change their sequence. For example, blue ball, pelota azul, in which the items have been moved. Blue, which is azul, goes in the first place, and azul goes on the second place. Modulation is another technique and is the most important and frequent technique. And it is really a change in the point of view. For example, when we have a sentence like te lo dejo, I leave it to you, you can have it, and instead of I leave it to you, you can have it is a total modulation of the phrase te lo dejo in Spanish, because the items are totally different. Reformulation or equivalence is another technique that we apply when we translate. Is when you express something in a completely different way, like when we translate idioms, titles of films, or advertising slogans. It is a creative but not always easy process. For example, the film The Sound of Music was translated as La Novicia Rebelde, a totally different version of El Sonido de la Música, which is what literally the title in English says. Adaptation, in some cases we have to adapt when we are translating, and it deals with changing the cultural reference when something is specific to one language. For example, the Mexican tortilla may be translated as a pie in English because the tortilla doesn't exist in the English language. Compensation is another technique applied in translation. Is when something cannot be translated and the lost meaning is expressed somewhere else in the translated text. For example, the Spanish formal or informal tú and usted, which are only translated as you in English. So what is compensation? That we have to compensate the formality of usted in another part of the sentence with some probably courteous words. Well, that's all for today. Thank you very much. This was Cilia Arellano reporting for you. Thank you very much.